Yes, I got an Xbox One. I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to get over it.
This thing, it's so chunky. It's freaking huge. Look at it, compared to the PS4. PS4. Xbox One, see? It's huge. Really sexy though, look at that.
Forza Horizon 3 is the big new open-world Xbox brand racing game, known for the good graphics and actual skill it takes to drive. You know, in a lot of other races, you can just hold down right trigger and go left, go right. You can't do that in Forza, you'll crash. I played a lot of Forza Horizon 1 back on the 360, so I'm very familiar with how this works. I did not play Forza Horizon 2, though. The first one took place in Colorado, the second one took place in Europe, and the third one takes place in Australia. And my goodness, this game is pretty. Xbox One might not be as weak as we thought it was. It's running in 1080p, 30 FPS, and outputting like PC-worthy graphics, lighting, shadows, textures, and all that. It's crazy looking good. But like a rock-solid 30 FPS. And you know, I'm freaking out 30 FPS, but I gotta say, with a racing game where the car is pretty static in the screen and only jiggles a little to the left and right and everything else blurs by, I gotta say the frame rate, I did not notice it as much. It did not feel in any way slow or stuttery or slideshowy, like in a first-person game. I'd say in a racing game, 30 FPS was sufficient. Obviously, it'd be better in 60 FPS, but the reflections are like near perfect, and the light will like bounce off the road and come up in your eyes, and you'll have a sun glare, and the car will like shine. And as you pass through the rainforesty section, the tree shadows will pass over the car, and it's broad daylight. And if you like go through a river or a puddle or something, or it starts raining, there are like water droplets all over the car. It looks so good. That's half the pull of racing games, really. It's just they look fantastic. There's wildlife in the game too. At some point I saw a crocodile jump into the river. Or sorry, crocodile. Alligators. Munchy chompy things. If you drive through vegetation, it will like move down, it'll flatten and then come back up, or it'll just like pop and explode and then it'll go everywhere. One negative is how like the progression of time and the shadows will like stutter like a frame, like every minute on the clock or whatever, the shadows will move, and that's kind of dumb. You only notice it if you're stopped, but it does look pretty bad if you're stopped. If you're moving really fast through the rainforest, you will notice some pop in, but for Xbox One levels of hardware, it's just not bad. It really isn't. I'm amazed it does as well as it does. If you're going through sand, the cars will all leave trails in the sand behind them. The tide will come in and out if you go into the bay. One negative is the cosmetic damage on the car. Forza Horizon 1 was like this too. Like, you will be going nearly 200 miles per hour, come to a full stop into another car, and then your windshield will get a little cracked and you'll have some scratches on your front bumper. I guess that's okay, because otherwise every time you crash and your car is totaled and you have to start over, if that's the alternative, then fine. Forza Horizon 3 has an open world, and it doesn't seem all that big. Like, if you go down at 200 miles per hour end to end, you can get across it pretty quickly within a few minutes. But, like, what did I just say? You're going 200 miles per hour across the world within a few minutes. That is several square miles of open world, everywhere which you can stop, and there's individual tracks and roads and houses and stuff. Like, that's still pretty damn impressive. A lot of the environment is destructible, but I would say not enough. Like, most fences, you can just go through and they'll pop up and it's cool. You can go over street poles, telephone wires, mailboxes, trash cans. That'll all explode if you hit it, which is fun. And then there are some fences around houses that just out of nowhere are totally indestructible, and your car will come to a stop if you hit them, because that's like that's like the end of the world that's cordoned off, and that's really dumb. And the trees too. Some trees are destructible, and it's good as anyone's guess which one is and isn't. These f***ing trees, man, oh my god. It's like you can't even have the car bounce off of it. If the corner of the car hits a tree, it'll come to a dead stop. Ugh. And the AI is retarded too. Every time I'm trying to do a speed trap or speed zone, all of a sudden, all the cars will get up on the good side of the road that I need to be on. I'm like, get the hell out of my way, you brain-dead assholes! Out of my way, bonehead! Watch where you're going, asshole! Australians. The sense of realism is kind of low too. If you speed at people standing behind stuff that a car going 200 miles per hour would totally be able to destroy, they will not freak out at all, because they know the physics of the game, they know they're totally safe. And if there's a horrible car crash, in which case people should be dead, you can't get out and ask if they're okay, you can't get out and trade insurance information. Oh, immersion shattered. The car customization in Forza Horizon 3 is also insanely in-depth. I am not for you auto mechanics majors out there who want to be able to mess with like every damn part in the whole thing, then you're good. There's a lot of it to do. I mean, for me, I don't know any of that. It's like, hey, upgrade the treads on the tires so that they grip the road better and you have more traction. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. All right, I'll get those. Then it's like, upgrade the aspiration intake so that the oil flow to the engine is 0.01% higher, thus reducing the weight of the car and increasing lateral G's around the corner. I'm like, what? Like, tuning is like completely overwhelming to the layman. It's like, what the hell is this? And like, I didn't even have to mess with that. But if you do want to mess with that, it's in the game, so you're good. And if you don't want to and you don't know anything about this, it does let you auto upgrade the car to the next car class, which is very helpful and nice. Saves a lot of time. You can't really change how much the actual car looks outside of, you know, painting and stuff. It's like, there in Forza Horizon 1, there were at least a couple different bumpers for most cars. In this, it's like you get the standard Forza fakey Horizon one, or you get nothing. Same thing with the wings. Sometimes there's a couple different wings, but I mean, I think wings all look stupid. I like the clean look of the car's ass. The bummer about the paint shop is that all the parts of the car are divided into parts, so if you want to like overlay one design from like the side to the front, it won't let you do that, and then you have to go to the front and then try to match them up, and that's annoying. Also, there's no way to quickly like erase or cancel what you just did, so you have to like go back in the layer and delete the layer. You can't just be like, oh, I didn't mean to put it there, cancel. It does allow you to then share your design so that when someone else buys a car, they can pick from one of the popular designs, and some of those are pretty cool. I took a couple of those. So we got some good community paintsmen going on there. What I do like about the Forza games is that there's a lot of skill required. I feel most racing games suffer from the fact that they're too easy and all you do is hold down right trigger and go. Forza forces you to watch your speed. If you're going too fast around the corner, you'll crash. I developed a strategy of like using other cars. I mean, this doesn't work in multiplayer because people are too unpredictable, but in the AI story section of the game, I've like bounced off of cars into a turn instead of slowing down. I find that's even more efficient. But knowing when to brake and staying on the outside of curves so that you have as little force on you as possible. The vibration feedback on the controller is fantastic too. It's like, because it's an Xbox One controller, it's got individual rotor things in the triggers too. It's like if you accelerate too much and your wheels spin out, or if you go off the road and start hitting, you know, the plants and shit, or if you bump into other cars or brake too hard, that all, it vibrates to tell you you're doing something wrong. It gives you a very, very dense and realistic feeling of a car moving this quickly. I love it. Which is why I absolutely can't stand the off-road sections. Because the off-road sections are always vibrating, because, oh, you know, you're off-road and it's rumbling and you're going over hills and stuff. And I'm like, well then, the vibrating controller tells me I'm doing something wrong, and if it does that the whole time, I don't like it. Also because you're constantly hitting trees, and also because you have such little control of your car, it's crazy. I am not a fan of the off-road races. It's just way too hard to control your car. It spins out so easily, and there's so much shit to hit, and there's no bound keeping you from missing the checkpoint. Also, checkpoints. So Forza Horizon has a thing called rewind, where if you push Y, you'll rewind for like a second or two, which sounds like easy mode, and that's what it is. It's like, oh, if any mistake I can make, I can just undo. There's no tension. I'll be fine. And that does take away a lot of like the accelerating tension of racing. But at the same time, if you miss a checkpoint because somebody pushes you out, or because you hit a hill and then your car lands a little to the left, it'll start shooting your car to the left. Missing a checkpoint is basically synonymous with losing the race. Unless it's multiplayer and everybody else is missing checkpoints too. So that's the only thing I keep rewind on for, so that if I miss a checkpoint, I can do that over again. But it's very tempting and easy to just start excessively using it for everything, and then you're taking away from the difficulty of the game. You can turn it off though. I mean, at the end of the day, the game really isn't that hard, especially with the driving line. All you gotta do is brake when it tells you to brake. The biggest difficulty for the game is resisting the urge to say braking is for pussies and just accelerate through turns anyway. Because you're going fast, fast, fast. You don't want to slow down, you want to go fast. It's a racing game. Overall, I'd say the biggest negative with Forza Horizon 3 is that it is way too similar to Forza Horizon 1. Again, aside from the upgraded graphics because it's on a new console, and like the rainforesty sections of Australia because the trees are really tall and the vegetation is very dense, so that feels like a jungle. Setting-wise, other than that, it feels exactly the same as Forza Horizon 1. Now, before Forza Horizon 2 came out, I was brainstorming for a sequel, and I would go to somewhere snowy nice. Like, you have desert and you had trees. You got pine trees in the first one. So what's the opposite of that? Snow. I mean, obviously you don't want snow everywhere, but, like, that would be the great visual variety that the game needed to make it stand apart. Otherwise, Forza Horizon 3, it's like, it doesn't really innovate a lot. Your GPS talks to you in a sexy Australian voice, so that's a nice touch. Anna/Kira, or Anna's the GPS, and Kira has an Irish accent. She's the one who, like, actually runs the race. Sometimes it's hard to tell them apart, because, like, they both sound very similar, despite having two different accents. I'm American, y'all sound the same to me.
This one is gonna be fun. Heavy hitters. Nothing that tips the scales at less than 2 ton. Driver not included, of course. You'd be a terrible train driver. You're early. Hey, Wesley. All these nice people have come to see you. We'll need to expand if we're going to accommodate them.
Their voices are easy on the ears, to say the least, and they will call you by name, and that's a really nice touch. And she wasn't, like, super annoying. Kira would, like, make jokes and, like, you're adorable. You're so cute. I know she's not real. I know it's a video game. Shut up! Though there was a missed opportunity to use the mic headset to, like, talk to her and give her commands and say, hey, GPS, mark the nearest whatever. If you say mark the nearest race, immediately after you finish your race, she'll just mark the one you just did, so that's kind of annoying. That doesn't really work. But she does feel like a somewhat realistic character. I feel like I have an actual AI companion because she will explain stuff to me, so that's kind of nice. And she's a lot more immersive than the Cortana that comes with the Xbox console. Hey, Cortana. Cortana. Cortana! F you! Aside from that, Forza Horizon 3 nails all the essentials. It looks fantastic, it runs well, and it's got plenty of gameplay depth. There's plenty of cars to choose from. You can pick different colors. There's an open world. The game looks very pretty, and I had a lot of fun with it. I don't play games for fun, really, anymore. I simply don't have time. And I will miss this game. I had to send it back before I wanted to, simply because I'm running out of time and I gotta review other games and move on. So that's a praise for me to say that I would keep playing the game if I could. If it had innovated just a little bit more, it could have made itself stand out among the series, and that would have gotten it to an 8. But otherwise, we're really close at 7.9852361 out of 10, because rating systems. Not a real big fan of the radio in the game. Like, they have a few different stations. They got hip-hop, they got pop, they got electronic dance, and they have one indie rock and then a bunch of more, you know, mainstream pop garbage. Fortunately, you can just turn the radio off and use the Xbox Groove music or just, like, play your own music externally. And I just find Rise Against goes really well with Forza Horizon games. I don't know why, but it does.
You can't feel the heat until you hold your hand over the flame. You have to cross the line just to remember